Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the Third.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther the Third, and today is a very, very, very special episode because we are here on Facebook Live and doing an exclusive with a guest like none other. Introduce yourself. We're wrong way. Introduce yourself.
I am the almighty EMT. That's Erza, Menagerie Tinker. I am from an alternate reality of Earth, and I am sent here to save the human race from itself as a professional wrestler.
Awesome. So, Miss Tinker, who trained you?
I trained with a Rocky Mountain Pro and Mercury Yaden originally, and then I trained with Primo's Premier Pro Wrestling with I Am the Provider.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So
Yes.
what kind of advice did they give you within like the training that really gave you this like idea for this character that's like out of this world?
Well, I got into professional wrestling pretty late, actually, and I didn't understand the overlap it had with theater and the kind of performance that professional wrestling is really caught my attention when I was like getting my master's, and
Performance
um, I decided to move out to Colorado and saved up money to be able to afford to start going to school. And I've been hooked ever since. So the character is actually really inspired just by myself. And because I had heard so much about professional wrestling in life, um, mostly that it was fake. And that is a word that holds a lot of weight that I think is inaccurately placed on professional wrestling, and I want to change that.
Yeah, like that word right there, even like anywhere I go in my life, because I do this podcast
Yeah.
and I talk to wrestlers, I get that same jolt to the teeth.
Yes.
Oh, no, you wrestlers, but don't you know it's I'm not gonna say
Yep,
the word. It's like
exactly.
it's
No.
for to all wrestling fans. I'm not saying it. I'm not gonna ruin my reputation in the wrestling world, and you know I speak to wrestlers from all over the world. I would never say that word. For me, that's like a kick to the teeth to this
Yes.
business and what my grandfather started in this in when he back in the day.
Mhm.
But like it's like when you're going out in public and you because I know I see you a lot of the stuff you do, you go out in the public and you're hanging flyers and
Yeah.
you're out there. How do you explain to the like the world when you go out there to hang your flyers about you're doing stuff with professional wrestling? Like what kind of responses do you get from these people?
It's always amazement. A lot of the time, people feel almost like they're missing out. It's like they all have an assumption that seeing me is very indicative of their wrongness in holding that assumption, in assuming they think they know what professional wrestling is, and being able to have that discussion with them has genuinely gotten people, lots of people. I've probably gotten over 20 people to experience pro wrestling just because they we've met online or on a dating app, and they started going to pro wrestling shows and were like, I've been missing out. And then they bring their friends. And that exposure of new people into professional wrestling is kind of my market. Like,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's cool because you brought in people outside of the wrestling world. Like
Yeah.
that's a cool thing. That's a really cool thing because it's really hard, as you know, to get people that are outside of the wrestling world to really like take notice
Yes.
of pro wrestling these days. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there any like anything you could like to my fans that are like on Facebook that are just jumping through that
Yeah.
don't really watch wrestling that I'm friends with that they join this page and they know what they're getting into. Like, so what would you
Mhm.
tell them about an independent wrestling show that they didn't know already about?
Uh, just how much their involvement in being there live is in addition to the show. Unlike theater or a movie where there is this wall where the audience doesn't actually have an involvement in the show, as in the show will be the same um, without if with zero people in the audience or a packed house. But um, a audience, especially at an indie wrestling show, is such an integral part of the overall performance and the actual athleticism involved in these like fights. It's
Mm,
such like a visceral animalistic feeling um, that really takes going to an indie wrestling show to experience.
mm. That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. It's like interesting thing, like being part of the indies these days. Like, and when you're like in outside of wrestling for like when you're not wrestling, do you ever go to shows that you're not on and like sit in the back row and
Yeah.
just watch what's going on?
Absolutely. Oftentimes I go and set up the ring for shows, and that's a great way to be able to introduce yourself to a promotion, and kind of like meet people and see about working with them in a business capacity. But you also get to experience wrestling of that region. And whenever I'm on a show, I like to watch the whole show. Um, as best as I can, um, even when I have fights of my own. I just really, really love this art form and like the kind of life it brings to the world that you can't find anywhere else.
That's awesome. So where have you been? Like what states have you been to that you've never been to like before?
I wrestled in Canada, uh, which I guess isn't a state, but being able to leave the country for the first time for pro wrestling was pretty cool, as well as I have a match in Utah coming up. I've
Oh,
done lucha libre there, but I'll be heading out to Utah to work with a promotion I haven't worked with until this year in Utah, which I'm excited for. But I've also been to Nebraska, Wyoming, Kansas. Um, that's it so far here in the U.S. though.
you definitely need
Oh,
to come
and
to the East.
Arizona. Sorry.
Okay,
Mhm.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Have you thought of coming to like the East? Like it's Mania weekend in April, the beginning of April. You thinking of coming this neck of the woods?
Oh, absolutely. It's more of an issue of being able to afford travel. So if it was able to be negotiated, I would go absolutely anywhere. It is not a matter of if I'm available or not, because professional wrestling is very legitimately my life. Um, it is the only thing I do each day. So,
Well,
yes.
I know of two that in my there's more than two in my area that have one in Slatington PPW, which
Okay.
is a really good one. It's run out of oh my god, you would love this place. It's like a super center. So it has like a consignment shop on one side, a huge consignment shop that you could find old Coca-Cola signs
Oh,
and stuff like
cool.
that. Yeah. Oh my god, my dad was just we were just walking around like you're in a museum. Like you could find old Coca-Cola sign, posters of
That's
the
so legit.
Beatles from
Oh,
like the old
sweet.
days. Yeah. Posters. They were selling
That's awesome.
pops. This table with sports. There's a like wall that you could actually buy old football helmets, like from the Eagles and the Giants and like
Oh,
the
wow.
Redskins that are kind of like the old Cowboys helmets, the white one before they had the silver. Oh my god, the old Jets helmet when it was the white helmet with the logo on it. The old Rams from back in the day, like the blue helmet with the ram on it.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like
Hot diggity.
yeah, for old frying pans, like everything. It's insane. It's
That's so
insane.
cool.
And then the opposite side's a food court, and then there's like a sports room that they do all the shows in and stuff like that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, are there any wrestlers that you've been like wanting to work with, but you haven't had a chance to get to them yet?
Um, let's see. Nyla Rose would be amazing to be able to share time in the ring with. Um, she was like the inspiration that led me to being able to believe that I could do anything like become a professional wrestler. Um, and now at this point, I just feel so much gratitude for having an icon and somebody to like look up to, where I didn't really have that for the predominant amount of time I've been alive. So it was nice to be able to have that and have other people to look forward to, like Dr. Britt Baker. I would absolutely love to spend some time in the ring with her, because I learn so much each time I'm in the ring with an opponent. I really want to be exposed to as many people as possible. So, intergender wrestling is also something I have a big interest in, and I would love to be able to see more of it just because I would have an opportunity to learn from more wrestlers.
Mm. So, is there
Yeah.
any like you said intergender wrestling? And yes, Dudes at Ringside podcast is a huge supporter of the intergender scene. Is there any male wrestlers that you have been with at a show, but you haven't had a chance to wrestle with them yet? And if you would like to call them out on the podcast right now, the microphone is yours.
Well, thank you. I was in a show with the absolutely most ravishing Effie, and Effie would be somebody I would absolutely learn a multitudinous amount of marvelous things from. So, 100%, I would love to trade and scrap some pro wrestling inside of the squared circle with Effie.
I also want to get him on the podcast. I heard he's a doll. I heard he's the
He's a
coolest guy.
sweetheart, and mm, he
I could
looks
see him trying to
like
steal my
it's fun to
glasses.
kick his ass.
I could see him going there. These glasses need something. They're too yellow. They're too red. It'd be like, why are they too red? Do they need something, Effie? What do they need? I could see him doing that to me. I had one wrestler steal my glasses. Then he went, ugh. And I'm like this. And then I went, ugh. These
The
glasses are
doll.
internationally known. Heels.
Yeah.
I saw one of your posters on your Instagram that what's your oh my gosh. What's her name? Stormy Renee.
Yes.
So you wrestle around her. She's the former Dudes at Ringside guest.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm
Sweet.
trying to talk to her again. It's so hard to talk to former guests from the West Coast.
She
So if
was
you
just on AEW too. Yeah,
congratulations. Oh, she's such a good person, such a sweetheart.
she
So when you
is. She's
see
awesome.
her, please give her a hug for Joe and be like,
I
please
will.
tell her come back on the podcast. You need
We're
you
gonna
need
scrap again for Cinco de Mayo, so
okay. If you have
I'll tell her
any
you
if
said
you're
hello.
allowed to talk about that show, let's talk about that because I love Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. So it is with a newly formed company called Skill, the Southwest Kansas Independent Lucha Libre, and they are awesome. We've had like sold out shows, the first two shows that we've had, and I got to face off against Stormy at the last one. and it was an absolute wonder to be able to learn from her, especially because I got to utilize my like lucha libre skills, and she got to not allow that to happen, which was a great reminder that I have to stay as well rounded as I can, and not forget fundamentals of professional wrestling, and like the susceptibility of wearing a lucha libre mask. Um,
Mhm.
there's a luchadora named Sakura, and um, I faced off against her in the ring, and she said I was not allowed to wear the mask because I was too much of a gringo, and I
Ooh,
agreed. So I did not want to make her mad, but
yeah. It's crazy because like my grandfather wore a mask when he wrestled, and everybody
yeah,
has always said that. Yeah, my grandfather wrestled from 1955 to 1965. He was under
that's
Vince's dad.
awesome.
Yes, even though
That's
he was the
interesting.
heel, everybody's like, "Oh, but Joe, your grandfather was a masked wrestler like a lucha." But I'm like, he was a big guy. He was
Yeah,
not a lucha. He wasn't like Rey Mysterio or like Psychosis or La Parka. He was a
yeah,
big he was a big mask wrestler, kind of like
yeah,
the Mascaras that
yeah,
he would grab. He had those hands like gloves, like big boy hands.
yeah,
Like it was a story that I told a wrestler a few days ago. He had an encounter with a boxer, and the
yeah.
boxer said, "Oh, that stuff is," and the
Mhm.
wrestler disappeared under the table. Yeah. He took my dad said my his brother literally says he said, "Isn't that?" And then he just turned looked back, and the girl turned to look back, and the guy was crumpled under the table. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
It's not wise.
Crumpled like a piece of clay. Like, you remember in you know, where in when Hulk punches Thor in the face?
Yeah,
That's pretty much once it would have been like, shoosh, shoosh,
it's gone.
shoosh. See, that's what it's like, like for you, like
Mm.
let's talk about your story within like starting your wrestling career, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, totally. I really loved performing. It kind of blossomed me out of my shell when I was little. I was always very socially awkward and I didn't have a lot of friends. And when I went into high school, one of the electives was full that I had selected. So they put me in theater. And that was where I started to develop this openness and freedom in performing in front of people.
Mm,
And I kind of started getting all these social skills. They decided to go to college for theater and got my degrees in theater. I have one in technical theater and musical theater because I really love like singing as well. And oh, at the last show, I got to sing the national anthem, and it made me really
I heard
happy.
you say that in one of your videos. You
Yeah,
really got to sing the national anthem?
yeah,
That's awesome.
it made me really happy, and people
That's
were all
so
like,
cool to
"Yay!"
know that that you wrestle and you could sing. Like, what is like your favorite song to sing? Like, if you have to sing, get yourself ready and psych yourself up to do like a national anthem like before a match. If you have to like
Um,
sing one song, what would it be?
So I have this habit of putting songs on my phone that are the karaoke versions of songs, and the most karaoke songs I have are by System of a Down.
Mm,
So many System of a Down songs help me warm up.
that's so. My sister's a singer, and like she did
Yeah,
a lot of plays when we were in high school, and then as an adult. So like
I love that.
there's a lot of singers that I know that drink or eat honey. Do you eat honey or do you drink like lots of tea before you have to sing something?
Lots of water. I've definitely done like hot tea with honey. Helps. There's all kinds of things like ginger. Um, I've known some people to, like, have, it's like that gel vapor rub, and
Oh,
it, like, clears out your sinuses and stuff, and people will put, like, a big coat of it underneath their nose instruments so they could sing for a long time.
That's
All
that's.
kinds of weird things.
So, do you have any crazy stories from the ring?
Let's see. Um, I have been through a table.
Ooh.
That was very painful. I am the tabled, where the table did not break.
Oh no.
Yeah. I got, opened up on my forehead during that. It was like a 43-minute I quit match.
43 minutes?
Yeah.
Did you have to do like the Rocky and just like, hold on, break, get my trainer, like get the water and stuff like that?
No, it's like my favorite match I've had, to date, probably, um, just because I learned so much about my own fortitude and how much I want this.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's that's good because like most wrestlers are like, yeah, I was in this match, but I was tired, but it was a good match. It was all right. Like you sound like gung ho. You're like, this
Yes.
is what I do. This is my legacy. This is what I live for.
Yes.
Like so
It is everything.
so
Yeah.
like if if you could say like there'd be that one wrestler when you were a kid that really got you to jump into this wild world of professional wrestler. Well, it could be more than one, but who would it be that would have been to ultimately be the reason why you became a professional wrestler?
Well, I didn't actually like, I watched my first, um, television show, or even full match of pro wrestling in, like, 2016.
Wow.
So, I am a late bloomer in pro wrestling, but when I was little, I was exposed to the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mankind,
Ooh.
and, Mankind quickly became a big inspiration for me, um, because of that, like, um, he didn't look like the other wrestlers. It seemed like what kept him going really was something more animalistic,
Mm,
and that's where I pull from as well as a wrestler.
awesome.
Yeah,
So do you like when you're traveling to your shows, like if you're traveling to different state to state, do you pack a breakfast that you know that won't spoil a lunch and a dinner, or do you just prep like a breakfast and lunch and then prepare it? You're gonna eat dinner on the road somewhere.
depends on the trip. I kind of live my life rather dangerously, to be
Mm.
honest, because it's an alternate reality game, kind of like a fusion of the movie The Truman Show and
Oh, oh yeah.
a Tamagotchi. So, um, oftentimes I don't eat unless I'm fed. So it has to
Okay.
be like an external source of food rather than me spending money on it because I don't treat money the same as any other human does either.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
that's yeah, like I've spoken to a bunch of wrestlers and I've been asking them that question. And
Yeah.
like lots of people, they'll eat the breakfast before they leave.
Yeah.
And then they'll bring a little granola or they'll drink one of those energy drinks, that the healthy ones, they'll blend something.
Yeah.
Then they'll eat the dinner at the show, whatever the promoter buys for them. I'm like,
Oh,
and
no.
I had a female wrestler go, yeah, but what if you're a vegan? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
like, I bring, a ceramic bowl and a plastic spoon and a shit ton of instant oatmeal.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you would have liked my job today. We had oatmeal, a big metal
Yeah.
thing
I
of
love
oatmeal,
oatmeal.
spoon,
It's
and
protein, it's all kinds of good things, low cholesterol.
I tr
I could eat oatmeal all the
I
time.
turned somebody on to eating oatmeal. They never had oatmeal. Oatmeal with raisins
Mm,
and, what's it called? Brown sugar.
yeah,
They never put that on their oatmeal. They never eaten oatmeal before, and they never had
so
raisins on
good,
it, and they never had brown sugar.
so good.
I
Mm.
was his little angel. I taught him how
Yes.
I taught him how to eat oatmeal, and I taught him how to eat. I was like, did I just teach someone how to eat something they've never eaten before? Wow, I'm an angel. I
When I
keep it
went to Canada, with the Pillars of Destiny, they're like these gigantic guys, and
Pillars of Destiny. That sounds like an awesome
yeah,
team.
yeah, they're huge, and, they were on AEW a couple times as well. Um, they bring chicken and rice with them, and, like, 20 meals of them each. So there's just, like, 40 meals of chicken and rice for this 18-hour car drive and, like, a couple of days, and then we gotta go to the grocery store so they can make 20 more meals, and
Oh my
that's what it
gosh.
is on repeat, yeah.
Because I've spoken to a lot of wrestler that's from the upstate, like the Allentown area. Lucius
Yeah,
Crowe is a big guy that he's like a bodybuilder and he's a wrestler,
yeah,
and they eat a lot of the rotisserie chicken.
yep.
You know, most people are like, well, fried chicken. And he would probably destroy you. It's like, be like, what's wrong with you? You can't eat fried chicken. You're a wrestler. Like it's either rotisserie chicken or lots of vegetables. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
It's
I
crazy.
think it's crazy and awesome because like you guys do so much for our entertainment. So like, have you been in other than cutting your head in that match? Have you ever been like injured in a match?
Yes.
Ooh,
I, separated my right shoulder and fractured 2 ribs.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Did you know immediately, or was it just like you went backstage, you didn't feel it, and then the next day you were like, I'm hurt?
So, it was, like, maybe 5 minutes into a 20-minute match, and I wrestled the rest of the 15 minutes, and I felt something was off, but once I got to the back, I couldn't move my arm anymore, and the guy who, like, landed on me and caused it to happen, um, went with me to the hospital, and there was, um, no the fight we were in did not carry it through to the hospital, which was nice. So, we could put our, differences aside in order to address the fact that I had hurt myself.
Mm.
I threw a spear pretty crappy, and, the guy is like 3 times my size. It was not the maneuver I I should have done to try and take him out.
Oh,
You're
jeez.
supposed to chop down a tree, not try and, like, dive through it. Yeah,
So is there any
learning.
match oh, sorry. Is there any match that you totally would tell the promoter, "Nah, that's not my bag."
Hmm.
And it could be new age style, it could be old school that they did, like, in the, like the ECW era stuff, matches like that, like, they don't do anymore that you would be like, "I wanna bring back this match," or, like, if I say this, you're probably gonna freak out, a death match. Would you say no to a death match?
Oh,
All you
we have a Slave to the Deathmatch tournament here, and
Ooh.
I'm excited to go. I have a hardcore bar fight coming up, next Friday.
Ooh, oh, there you go. We actually wouldn't reject that. If someone
Yeah,
challenged you to, like, a casket match, would you do it?
absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
What about the bull rope match, the one they keep having Cody
Yeah,
Rhodes do?
I'm down.
Okay. Alright, some
I've
people would be like,
I've been asking for a collar match, but I think I have different reasons behind why I enjoy a collar match that are not they're pro wrestling adjacent, let's say.
okay. And it's hard to find because I've spoken to other wrestlers that wanna bring the dog collar match more to the indies, but
Yeah,
he's when the I forgot who it was said it to me. They're like, it would be hard to bring the dog collar match to the indie scene because big one reason, it is hard as hell to find a dog collar human size.
yeah,
Because you move the wrong way, that's if it's a big upper body guy and he flexes his neck for some odd reason in the match, that collar's just gonna go. Or the chain, if you pull it, it's gonna go and rip right off,
Yeah,
right?
I'd imagine so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how the hell is it gonna stay on the chain?
I
Like,
don't know.
you're gonna have to go to Home Depot's gonna surely ask you, "Why the hell do you need a double-sided chain?" Like,
Maybe you go to an adult store for something
yeah.
like that.
You know what's funny? Indie
Special order.
promotional things, I think they're kinda scared because 'cause they're always on a budget, and the guy gets the
Oh, the
receipt,
best.
"Where'd you get this from?" "Really?" "Well, I couldn't go to Depot, they were gonna ask me why I need the chain." Like, so you'd be down for deathmatch. So
Yeah.
what's the first weapon you would look for in if you were running around the arena?
Light tubes
Okay. Oh, okay.
and then thumbtacks.
I was about to say this because I'm looking at my Legos and they're all looking at me doing this.
Ooh, Legos
Gee,
are fun. I've been at a show where they did Legos. It yeah, owie. Like the guy was bleeding from Legos.
what?
Ow! Yeah, yo, it's hardcore.
Yeah, as I'm jokingly saying they're not doing this to me, but my Peter Venkman would be like, "Nah, son, we Ghostbusters. We don't have to do like the TikTok. We're Ghostbusters. We don't have to deal with that. We're Ghost." And it's funny, I'm half Ghostbuster and I'm half wrestling,
Yeah.
so it's like, yes, I need to make that
The
TikTok.
perfect meme for you.
I'm a Ghostbuster. I'm not afraid of ghosts, but I'm afraid of the EPA. Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, if a promoter ever asked me to do something that was off brand for me, that would be the only time I would start to probably make sure that my voice is heard as well in
Mm.
those situations, which is something I had to learn. Um, having people um book me to be a masked performer um, makes it to where I don't get to perform as myself, and that's not necessarily beneficial to what I'm doing.
And also, you have
So,
long hair.
yeah.
Wouldn't the mask mess up your long hair? You have to tie it up, put it in a bun.
No, exactly. And
Yeah.
and and then they can call my character whatever they want, and it relinquishes all of my creative control, which I do not like.
Yeah, that's not fair. And it's just funny. I know another masked wrestler, and I just interviewed him. That's gonna air in March.
Oh,
Ray
nice.
Genesis.
Oh, sweet.
He's another wrestler I would love to see a wrestler wrestle. He is really cool, really nice. And another female wrestler I would love to see you wrestle. She's the Queen of Hearts. I can't remember her full wrestling name, but I know she's the Queen of Hearts. And I'm sorry,
Okay.
Queen of Heart. Oh, foot his tail. No, yo, yo, my tail's gone. Tail's gone. But yeah, she's really cool. She makes all her gear. Like makes masks. She makes the heart
Oh,
gear
wow.
she wears. Oh my gosh, she's if I can remember her Instagram page, I'll send it to you later. Like
Please do.
she makes everything. Tights, shirts, like gears, jackets, pants. I don't know if she makes
Hot
boots.
dog.
She makes everything. That girl is amazing. So, in closing, if my fans here on Facebook would like to find you, how can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook by my wrestling name and actual human name, Erza Menagerie Tinker, because my life is one with professional wrestling. So you can find me everywhere as Erza Tinker, Erza Tink on Instagram. I also offer all kinds of fun on adult sites as well. So find me on the internet for anywhere that you think I'd be. I probably am, just under my name, Erza Menagerie Tinker. Yeah.
And before we go, if my fans want to buy any merch from you, how can they get it?
I have a merch site on Brainbuster Tees as well as Pro Wrestling Tees, and there is a sale going on Pro Wrestling Tees right now as well, which you can find on my Facebook.
Awesome. Um, Before we go, if there was any young fans watching this on Facebook, What's going on, people?
What's up,
Um,
y'all?
um, if they wanted to get in the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
To never keep professional wrestling out of your reach because it is within your reach and we want you there. That is one thing I've noticed about being a professional wrestler is the youth are my absolute favorite fans every single time. At the first skill show in Kansas, there was a little girl and her dad. They just went out for a drink at the bar, and there ended up being this lucha libre show, and they'd never seen something like this before, and she got obsessed, and she loved me, and we were getting high fives, and then she came and sat with me, and she got like a little luchadora mask as well, and we watched the show, and it was magical. I think about it and it brings happy tears to my eyes.
Aw.
So and every Sunday we actually offer kids pro wrestling class, and we have kids as young as 7 who come and learn pro
7?
wrestling in a safe environment. Yes, 100%.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing, Tinker. That's
yeah,
beautiful that you do that for the kids because
it's so fun.
that's our future. That's our future
Yes.
with the indie scene.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh,
We just
that's
had a new
awesome.
student the other day who, him and his dad come to our regular place here in Colorado. Again, they were just out looking for something to do, happened to go to this pro wrestling show, and his son became obsessed. And he's special needs, and he had so much fun. His dad couldn't have been more thankful for the experiences, and we made lifetime wrestling fans out of these random people, and that's what pro wrestling can do for anyone who dreams about getting into anything pro wrestling, just like you
Yep.
and this podcast. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
A dream. I dreamed a dream, and I heard the stories about my grandfather, and I
yeah,
just said I had to become a fan because I wanted be able to keep. Before I was Joe Panther the Third, I just did a show with my buddies online called Wrestle Talk US.
yeah,
Um, and I didn't even use the Panther. I used because I was a greeter in Walmart for
yeah.
about. I think I mentioned that to you. I was a greeter for about 8 years, and I was like, I need a persona, and I thought, shit, I'm a greeter. There's no greeters on YouTube. Joe the greeter, like Joe the greeter, and then like my friends are like, we were talking, and eventually one day my friends like, man, management never stop you, man, bro. You in the office and said, man, can you change your name on YouTube? And I'm just like, no, I guess YouTube maybe W the wall fart probably just said not making money on it. He's
Yeah.
just doing it for fun. He's just talking about wrestling. He's not in the store recording that we know
Yeah.
of. No, I never did that. But no, I never recorded in the store. I just used my stuff in my bedroom and I just did the
That's it.
shows and talked about
Yeah.
wrestling. So I want to thank you so much, Tinker, to coming on the podcast. It means so much to have you.
Thank you so much
Another
for having me.
awesome person, and I want to wish you nothing but the best on your wrestling journey.
Thank you.
Keep being awesome. Keep being beautiful. I'm Joe Panther the Third,
I'm Erza, Menagerie, Tinker.
and we will catch you in the next one. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you.